So me and the man, okay, we're out in this lonely country highway. It's pouring the rain. The windshield wipers don't work. We pull into this dive bar. There's a bunch of cars, a bunch of old kind of cars. So I'm like, is it a car show? We walk into this place, okay? It's like a saloon from the old days. The man, he walks up to the bar and he says, hey, buddy. And the bartender comes up and goes, hey, before you say anything, my friend, before you say a word, we only drink scotch at this bar. And here's you a scotch. And I'll tell you one other thing. This is the first time I ever told anybody this, but we murder you if you don't drink that scotch. Straight away, we murder you. There's no second chance. There's no forewarning. We only serve scotch in this bar. And if you don't pick that scotch up and start drinking it immediately, you're murdered. It's just post-haste. You're murdered, okay? And the funny thing is, I never told anybody. Most people pick they could get a sense, they get a vibe. Most people pick up the scotch and they start drinking. So we don't murder that many people, but you look like you're a little stubborn. The man, I was quivering. I started almost peeing down my leg a little bit. I was getting ready to yank that leash out of the man's hand and run out the door. They had like swinging doors. I don't know if you call them gable doors, like in the Wild West, like there's just like, I don't know what, like a bathroom stall doors. They swing out and open like hinges, and so you can see the guy from the knees down and the shoulders up. I was going to burst through those doors and run into the parking lot if I could yank that leash out of that man's hand, because I was like, this guy, the man better just start drinking that scotch. Well, the man, he says, hey, buddy, you know what? I love scotch, so bring it on. And the bartender, he went like this. He said, that's so good because, what? The first thing we would do is like club you, kick you, stomp you down. Then somebody start cutting, and they cut right away at that neck. They just slice you open. They bleed you out. I mean, if you look at the floor, and the man looked down, and the floor was covered. I was like, my God, it's fresh blood on the floor right now. And I was like, the guy says, that's not fresh blood. The guy could read my mind. The guy says, that's not fresh blood. Tell your dog that's not fresh blood. He's like, try to step. That's from yesterday. That's yesterday's blood on the floor. He doesn't have to worry about nothing. But I'm so glad you drank that scotch straight up and started drinking it down. I mean, it's like, hey, buddy, no problem. Hey, where's the next scotch? That's all I'm worried about. Where's the next scotch? And I just sat quivering at the man's feet, and the man drank 4 or 5 scotches, and then the rain slacked off, so we left that saloon. I thought it might have been an apparition, like it disappeared after we left, like it was a bunch of ghosts or something, because I'll never forget, as soon as we walked in there, the bartender's like, hey, let me tell you something. Before you open your yap, see this scotch? Drink that scotch if you know it's good for you, but please, whatever you do, just start drinking that scotch, okay? And the man put his hand up on the bar and he tapped it. He tapped his fingers a little bit, and then he picked the scotch up and he started drinking it, thank God, because then the bartender went on to say, it's a good thing you drank it, because we never tell anybody, but we would have murdered you. If you didn't drink that scotch immediately, we would have immediately murdered you. It's just a thing we do. We only serve scotch at this bar. That's probably how it got started. But if you don't pick that scotch up and just start drinking it willfully and happily, we murder you. Believe me, it doesn't happen a lot, but it happens. It happens consistently. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens on a consistent basis. So I'm so happy that you picked that scotch up and started drinking it. Everybody in here everybody's so glad about it. But that was a weird thing that happened. And I don't know, I hope I think that might have been a ghost saloon. And after we left, it disappeared. I don't know. Who cares? At this point, I just pray we never go back. But knowing the man, he probably wrote down the directions. He's probably going to try to find it again. It's a bar out there in the desert among the cactuses. If you're traveling lonely on a long trip way far away from home, where the Hells Angels don't even like to go, you might find that saloon. Look for it out there in that places.